Welcome to another 80/20 question of the week. My name is Tim Francis. I'm the creator of the 80/20 Challenge. And this week I'm bringing you another 80/20 mission. So get ready to do a little bit of work here and you'll be very, very happy that you did. One of the most powerful forces in all of business is actually feedback. Feedback on our product, on our service, on our customer service, on all parts of our business can be incredibly powerful to help us really accelerate the quality of what we do, how we do it, how we produce it, everything. Feedback is super powerful. If we think of how digital cameras have revolutionized the world of photography, it might be obvious that certain things like unlimited storage with replaceable SD cards and electronic filters and zooms and all of that, instant upload to the internet, all of that is the obvious part of why digital cameras have revolutionized photography. But it's not the whole story. In fact, one of the most powerful features that a digital camera brings to the table is actually instant feedback. If you think about years and years ago, when a photographer would be at a wedding shooting this once-in-a-lifetime event, or hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime event, they would take the picture, and then from there they'd have to wait a week or two to develop the film and then get the feedback and go, ooh, the bride's hand is a little low and Uncle Doug's bow tie is a little crooked in the back row. That's a problem. We really needed the photographers to have perfect eye for detail every single time. But then something happened. Digital cameras came along, and now photographers could get instant feedback on the quality of their picture and all of the details. This big time, big deal event, be it a wedding or a funeral or a graduation, which is not very easy to repeat and probably would be impossible to get everybody back together again, now they could get instant feedback. They'd snap the picture, they'd see the bride's hand is low, Uncle Doug's tie is a little crooked, they could tell the bride and Uncle Doug to correct it, and instantly they could snap another picture. And so that rapid feedback, that quick cycle time between attempt and feedback allowed them to correct on the fly. And now you don't need to have a photographer who is absolutely perfect with eye for detail. All they need is a digital camera with instant feedback. Net Promoter Score is one of the most powerful customer satisfaction and feedback systems ever devised. It was invented by a guy named Fred Reichheld, and he wrote this book about it called The Ultimate Question. And Net Promoter System is used to get feedback from customers. So this is what your mission is going to be, is to do your for the first time ever, to go and attempt doing Net Promoter Score. This is what it is. You ask a single question with a simple follow-up, and the question is, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend a friend or family member or coworker to us? Now, obviously, you're going to pick friend or family or coworker depending on what your situation is. Now, it's not 1 to 10, it's 0 to 10. And the reason that we use 0 to 10 is because then it's obvious that 0 is bad and 10 is really good. In Fred Reichheld's research with his team, they made some fascinating discoveries when they asked this simple NPS question to customers. First of all, they discovered that any rating from 0 up to 6 was really quite a harsh bit of feedback. People might be saying 6 to be polite, but what they really think is 2. So anybody who gives you a 6 or less is actually what's known as a detractor. And a detractor is somebody who's not happy with their experience, not happy with the product or the service, and they're probably saying bad things about you behind your back, on Yelp, on message boards, to their friends, on Facebook. They're probably really harpooning your brand and your business pretty quickly. They also discovered that anybody who rated you a 7 or 8 was considered to be a neutral. Yes, they were happy enough with the product, the service, the experience of your business. However, they weren't like raving fans. And so if a competing product or business came along and offered them a slightly better price, better terms, better product or service, that those 7s and 8s, those neutrals, would quickly go away and go to the competitor and stop buying from you. They discovered that if somebody rated you a 9 or a 10, they were what's called a promoter. And the promoters were raving fans. It didn't matter if a competitor came along and tried to steal their business, they would stay loyal. Not only that, they were the most likely to be repeat customers and also bring referrals in, their friends and family and coworkers, to come and purchase from your business as well. Now, one other small interesting discovery they made is there were a number of respondents who wanted to give a 10 out of 10 because they were so delighted with the product or the service or the experience. And then something in their head said, you know what, nothing's perfect. So instead of giving these guys a 10, I'm going to give them just a 9. So basically a 9 or a 10 both counts as the top possible score. And those people are your promoters. Now, what is Net Promoter Score? How do we calculate this thing to get an exact metric of where you're at in the eyes of your customers? Well, it's a very interesting calculation, and so please pay close attention. It's actually, of all of your respondents, what percentage are promoters? So what percentage gave you a 9 or a 10? And then you subtract whatever the percentage of overall respondents that were detractors. Now, this is a big departure from the traditional customer satisfaction metric. If you just took the average of all the scores, it might come in as an average of 7 or 8. And you might say, oh, well, that's good. We're an 8. Our customers must like us. And it lulls you into a false sense of security. By graduating up and doing the more difficult Net Promoter Score, and by difficult, I mean it's a few extra steps to do it, but also it's harder to succeed when you're judging yourself with NPS. You're building your business on a granite or concrete, super, super steady foundation. Let's take a look at that equation again. It's the percentage of all respondents who are promoters minus the percentage of all respondents who are detractors. So if you think about it, if you have 10 respondents, 2 are promoters, that's 20%, and you subtract 2 that are detractors, which is also 20%, your Net Promoter Score is actually 0. Now you might be going, well, hold on, what happened to the neutrals? What happened to the 7s and 8s? And that is the difference. In Net Promoter Score, we actually strip out the neutrals altogether because it's like building a business on quicksand. We want to build that business on rock solid granite. And so that's why we only score points for the promoters. We also have to take away the detractors so that we get a true idea of where we stand in the aggregate of our customers' eyes. Now, after you ask that question of, based on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend, you're going to get a number, and your respondent might say 8 or 9 or 7. At that point, you're going to ask them a very quick follow-up question. You're going to say, what is the main reason for the score that you've given us today? Now, there might be 5 or 10 reasons why they're giving you this score, but you just want to know from an 80-20 perspective, what is that number one reason that they've given you the score today? And they might say, great product, you're a great guy or girl, really enjoy you, really enjoy your business, the shipping was just a little slow. Or they might say, I really enjoyed buying from you, great product, great service, love what you stand for, but the checkout process on your website was really clunky. It could be any number of reasons. And once you start getting these responses, you'll see that there probably will be buckets that start to appear. Everybody complains about the checkout process, or geez, it sure seems like our shipping times are pretty shaky. And from there, that gives you an opportunity to take that feedback and feed it back into your product development, the service you deliver, and the customer experience. Just like that wedding photographer who gets instant feedback and can look at the LCD display of their camera and tell Uncle Bob or Doug to straighten his bow tie, now you get an opportunity to straighten the bow tie of your business very, very quickly. And hopefully before this customer has gone and given some potentially damning reviews and feedback about you and your company to a whole bunch of people. So let's review this one last time, the 2 parts of the Net Promoter question. And specifically the mission for you is to call on the phone 10 customers and ask them the NPS question. And here it is one last time. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us to a friend? And of course, friend you can substitute with coworker or fellow entrepreneur or whatever the appropriate name is. And then the second part of the question is, what is the main reason for the score you've given us today? And that, my friend, is the Net Promoter System. Deceptively simple, based on hours and years and thousands of respondents worth of research, and yet so deceptively simple. I think it's a beautiful 80-20 tool for us to then turn around and figure out where the 80-20 opportunities are for us to get better in our product, in our service, and in the customer experience that we deliver. My name is Tim Francis, creator of the 80-20 Challenge, and I'm very excited to see what you discover in executing this week's 80-20 question of the week. See you in the Facebook group. Thank you.